Charlie Coles, I think, has been a very successful coach because his principles of coaching is based in civility. And so, Coach Coles.
Being a basketball coach, being interviewed is part of the job. And as long as I've been head coach, I've been interviewed. And so I couldn't count the number of interviews that I've had with reporters, radio people, television people. And 46, well, not all of my 46 years has been as head coach, but I coached for 46 years. And once I was asked, it was about 7 years ago, and the reporter was aware of my health problems that I had had. And he said, "Coach, how would you like to be remembered?" And I thought for a minute, and I said, well, and my thoughts went back to my family, my children. I had 3 grandchildren at the time, and my parents and my grandparents. And I said, you know, something along the lines of, he was a very nice man. And the reporter kind of looked at me and I said, yeah. Now, the reason why I said that, most people who know me as a basketball coach. But I've always thought that was too narrow to me. It had to be something else. Because when I first started coaching in high school, I taught classes. And I taught 19 years in high school. And never was I given a shortage of classes. Always taught 5 classes and coached. So I had a dual responsibility, students and my team. And so I always kind of figured out that when I was coming along, coaches meant a lot to me, and probably my favorite person that I've ever worked with in education or worked with me was a coach. But I could think of so many teachers that were just almost equally influential in my life. And I seen one of those teachers a couple weeks ago at a building reunion in my hometown. And so being nice has always been something that was taught to me. I had an aunt that always said, it's nice to be nice. And I really like that. And so what I want to do is tell you about 3 things that have been a big, they've been big in my life, okay? The first one happened in 1991. I was 49 years old. I've been a highly successful high school basketball coach and sort of a successful college basketball coach. But in 1991, I was fired. Whoa. They fired. Well, that's bad, because everybody knows about it. And there's a lot of people who thought I did a pretty good job. I had a winning record. During my 6 years, we went to NCAA tournament. We finished second 1 year. But I was fired. And probably a couple of weeks before I was fired, I come across a term called freedom of choice. And I got it from the Jewish people who were in the Holocaust. And they talked about how low the morale was when they would go out in the morning and work all day and come back to their barracks knowing that someone got shot that day. And someone in their group might get shot And so finally, they kind of got together and said, look, looks like, and I don't mean to make light of this, but sometimes I like to bring the brighter part in the story. And I can imagine them saying, well, if they were brothers, I can imagine them saying, look here. If they were in the neighborhood, Jim, look here. Somebody gonna get shot. Ain't nothing we can do about it. Let's have some fun here. We don't need to be sad around each other. We don't need that. And so what happened was, it was transformation. The shooting kept going on. The misery kept going outside their barracks. This is a true story. But when they come back in, they begin to enjoy each other. In other words, life got better because they decided it would get better. So after reading about this, like I said, a couple weeks later, I was given a choice. And I never will forget, and she won't remember, she's in the audience now. Me and my daughter were jogging about a week after it happened. And I think Mary was 11th grader, maybe 10th grade. We were jogging. And she presented to me, she said, Dad, I thought you would react much differently when that happened. And I can remember jogging along and saying, Mary, they giveth and they take. This time they took it. I'm fine. I'm fine. Because I exercise that freedom of choice. It's okay for you to treat me like you want to treat me. I can't control it. I can't control you doing what you want to do to me. But one thing I can control, how I react to it. And when I got, sometimes I fail, but most of the time, and I think coaching had a lot to do with it over the years, working with young people. But most of the time, I'm ready for it. And I'm going to have a good day. And I'm not going to let you do anything, now I'm not talking to you, but I'm talking out there. And I'm not going to let you do anything to ruin my day. Too good of a day out there waiting for me. And to me, that's freedom of choice. Because we have a choice. And don't ever think you don't. And if you stop and think, the more you put love into your life, the more that choice gets just as bigger. One thing can't be stopped, and that's love. That's love. I got 4 grandkids, and I never knew the kind of love I could possibly have. I had 2 kids. And I know how much I love them, and love them now. But I can't even tell you what happened when the other 4 arrived. I mean, it would be impossible for me to describe it because I never knew it would happen. But I do know there's so many people I love. Boy, if I take care of loving them, I don't even know if I hear anything that went wrong. So I got to look on that side. Here's the next thing. And Greg, holler out. If I go over, I'm going to go over. Next thing is what I call beginner's mind. I want to start every day. I don't know nothing. I'm 70 years old. I want to start every day out with you knowing more than me. Because if I know it all, I'll become a pretty rough customer. I'll become pretty doggone tough. Because you can't tell me nothing. And I develop opinions, and I develop all this, and oh God. You know, I had a favorite thing I started doing about halfway into my coaching career. About 25 years after I was coaching, somebody would, you know, they always give the coaches ideas, and, hey, you know, coaches, we don't know nothing. We never knew anything. And somebody would say something to me like, and they'd put it in on the end of the conversation, like, yeah, how you doing, coach, how's everything going? Then, in last night's game, don't you think? And you know what I started doing? I started answering the question with a question. I started saying, you think so? Or, what would you do? But I tried to make sure I wasn't mad. Boy, that was effective. And you know what else it did? You know what else it did? It stopped all the questions. It stopped all the questions. So, beginner's mind to me is, I don't know anything. If you want to know everything, you can. And I'll support you. And if you want to find out something from me, ask me, and I'll try to give you my best answer. But I don't want you thinking I know everything, because I don't. And boy, I can get along with the world much better if I'm not trying to tell everybody what to do. You know? It's like a player I had one time. He had 2 mouths and 1 ear. You know what I mean? In other words, he talked all the time and he never listened with that 1 ear he had. He had 2 mouths, 2 mouths. And like my friend Stephen A. Smith on Sports Center says, a dead clock is right twice a day. Okay, here's the third thing. My daughter Mary, who's here, she should remember this. I think she's in 4th grade. And they asked the class to write something about their parents. And my sweet baby, still my baby, she's 38 years old, still my baby. And, you know, Craig, my son-in-law. And so, you know, he's still on probation. But anyway, no, I love Craig. Craig. But Mary brought back her paper, and it's one of the proudest moments of my life. They were talking about, they could write about a parent, and Mary wrote about me. And she says, in one of her sentences, she ended it with, I love my dad because he is always happy. I never will forget. Whoa, that was powerful. That was powerful. That was powerful. So, I say to all of us here, civility to me means, it starts with me. And I hope it starts with you. You can change it. You can change it. If you don't worry about folks changing you, you can change it. All you got to do is be a happy you. And I know it's hard, but be a happy you, and I'll tell you what, that things will change. And that's what we got to do. We can't worry about negativity. We can't worry about it. What we got to do is spread that love. And let me say this in closing. One of the things I started a long time ago, people do it all the time now. And I found out that it started with my family long years ago. My aunts used to always tell me back when I was small, before I departed from them, they'd always say, I love you. And I'd always say, because I didn't know what else to say, I love you too. And so I can remember when I started doing this with my family, me and my daughter was the only one to do it. My wife, my son, a little grumpy, my oldest son, grumpy, a nice kid, but grumpy, great kid. My best friend, other than, him and my daughter. But You know what they start doing it. You know, now I can't talk to a former player anymore. They do it. And a young man called me yesterday. He didn't get the job that he wanted. I recommended him for the job, coaching job. And before he got on the phone, he said, I love you, coach. And I'm proud of that. So I love you, and you love others. Thanks for having me here, okay? Thank you so much.